All right, here we go. Hello, people. Let me get rid of the picture of my garden, and we'll get started.
Here we are. Hey.
Hi, everyone. So here we are.
Welcome back.
Mr. and Mrs. Rain.
Come on in.
Welcome to our home.
Our humble abode.
Yes, our very humble home. And we'll just kind of sit here and chit chat for a few minutes. Starts clogging. You know, actually, several years back when I was doing the big dance shows, we did one of our shows. We had it all on folk dances from all around the world, and it was just called Dances from Around the World. And I learned a whole bunch of different folk dances, you know, a Japanese one, a Chinese one, and then an Irish one. And that one was the most tiring. You don't even, I think it was just as tiring trying to hold your arms still as it was moving the legs constantly. So, hi Teresa and your ice cream. Yay. Poor Mr. Rain hasn't had ice cream in a couple of weeks now.
I'm on a rain fast, and
yeah,
it's really tough.
Poor baby. I should probably get him some ice cream. So I'll, you know, I've been making him the popsicles, and I just made him some fudge sickles.
Bear with me, folks.
So look at him, he's going through an ice cream withdrawals.
Having a tough time here.
No. I'm not going to do that dance. But it was fun.
When she dances with her hands too, and I'm a little into closer proximity to her to have her do that, because I'll sustain injury if she starts to dance.
Well, I'm Italian too, so, you know.
She talks with her hands too, which is kind of dangerous.
It is. It is. I think I've smacked him a few times on accident.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good thing I have a hard head. That didn't come out right. Or maybe it did.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
See, I used to have a lot more hair before she beat it all off my forehead.
Actually, he's losing his hair a lot slower than I would have expected. So, but he did have a lot more hair when we first met. That's for darn sure.
I have a lot more hair when I do this.
Yeah, see, look at the back of his head. It's just a lot more white. So, not that I should talk.
Okay, let's go on to another subject.
I noticed my gray hair doesn't show up as bad in images like this. So,
what are you going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about a little bit about catnip and a little bit about feverfew, and I'm focusing on both because they have very similar benefits, and I like to take them together. We both take them together, and I'll go into that in a bit, and then after maybe about a half hour ish of talking about that, I want to talk some, and I want feedback from everyone, or I keep saying I'm sorry, we, about what is a homesteader. And those of you who have been following us for a while may have seen one of my craft time chats where I talked about what is a homesteader. And I really think there's a lot of views on that. And I think it's one of those things we should leave open to discussion. And I've seen some recent videos by people that I really appreciated, and their views are slightly different than ours, but I totally understand where they're coming from.
And respect it.
And respect it, exactly. And honestly, I was going to talk about this later, but there's a reason why we both really hesitated calling ourselves a homestead. And I finally broke down and did it, and I'll get into why. Okay, why? What? Hey, stop. Stop. You know, spray bottles, water bottles, I have found to be the most effective thing to quieting dogs. It's totally humane, and they don't like it. Usually all I have to do is go, you see this?
She only goes through 10 gallons a day, so
no, I don't. So Homesteader Spectrum, Kathy, very good. I really like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right on.
BC truck. I'm a shopsteader. There you go.
I agree,
Awesome.
BC. Yeah, me and you. Right on, buddy.
That's great. So anyway, those are the two main topics of today. So we'll get to that. I want to do the herbs first and get those out of the way, but I shouldn't say out of the way because it's really good information, but I really want to interact more on the topic of homesteading, why we call ourselves that, even though we're still somewhat reluctant, and why some of you may call yourselves that and what you think.
Well,
So-
there's a wide spectrum of opinions out there,
Yeah.
and
understandable.
technically speaking, I think as long as you're trying to make yourself self-sufficient, I think you can, in the looser term, in one side of the spectrum, if you consider yourself trying to get out of the norm and trying to be self-sufficient, trying to do things for yourself, trying to repair things for yourself, then that's one facet of homesteading. Okay, well, some of you out there might think, well, that's not good enough. I mean, your walls have sheetrock on it, and you're plugged to the power grid, and you've got running water in the house. You're not a homesteader. Well, for those of you who are out there that come across on a covered wagon and the first human being to hit the ground and started using hoes and shovels, well, hoes and shovels are a modern invention in some respects when the Iron Age come about. So, technically speaking, you wouldn't be a homesteader back then either. So there's one extreme to the other, and we kind of wanted to define the modern homesteader.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there, what comes down to having a homesteader,
Look, Mima.
having the homesteader mentality, I think is probably what we really got to hang on to these days, and and that yearning and drive to become independent and be able to do things for yourself, I think is what we have to do for a modern definition of homesteading. And I think Heidi said it pretty good in her chat. She had some sort of craft time chat or something like that where she was
I should have
sewing.
listened to it again.
When she was sewing and
remember what I
BSing
said.
at the same time, she I think she hit it pretty accurately as far as the modern day version of what that definition really means. I mean, so if you're in the city and you can't afford to go out and buy 80 acres in the middle of nowhere and live out of a tent, build a fire every night to survive, hey, as long as you've got the mindset and you're striving for that, I think that's probably the most important thing to look into.
So anyway,
okay, I've done
that
remarks.
topic. It's
That's
good.
that's
It's
me
a
for
really
the
good
whole-
topic.
That's me for the whole hour. and now the rest of
No.
it.
I really want to go more into the topic because it's so incredibly important, and once we start talking about it, it's hard to get off of it. But I should focus on the herbs that I had picked out for tonight, at least a little bit.
Oh yeah.
At least. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on these, and then we'll get back to the homesteading topic. There was something I saw up here. I want to see if I can find it again. Mostly it was just funny stuff people were saying, but
While I was talking,
I think it
it's
was
dead serious.
the what Sherry Cherry spray bottle works on husbands too.
Oh.
You know what? I don't know how well that would work on Mr. Rain, considering that we work in the rain a lot of times.
It wouldn't
I've
affect me
gardened
any. I
in the
would just think,
rain.
oh, I got a leak in the roof I need to fix.
Stack firewood in the rain. We don't have much choice. I don't like to mow the lawn in the rain. That's just kind of silly. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that when you live here, you just get used to rain. Nobody here carries umbrellas. We always know you're an out-of-towner.
You're a foreigner if you have
an
an umbrella. in your hand.
Or you know what we know? We know you came from Seattle, where you get just enough rain that you feel like you have to you have to have an umbrella, but not enough to just get used to it. Like, hey, okay, not so effective tonight. What's going on? I think they're ticked because I put those sweaters
yeah,
on.
Yeah,
them.
they got clothes on. That's not
Yeah,
normal.
they're not liking the sweaters, I think. Yeah. Again, 100 Seattle, 40, 50 inches of rain. Here, 120 to 160 inches of rain, and that's annually, of course. Okay, so
Dave, we do wear raincoats around here. That's for sure. Especially if we're out here in it for a extended period of time. Yeah, we
go on hiking and stuff.
don the raincoat.
In fact, he was just wearing his camo rain gear, that really nice stuff. What's that? It's got a name for it.
Rivers West.
Yeah, that's one of the brands. It's really nice. It's very, very warm, and it's a nice soft texture, but it's incredibly waterproof.
It's cozy, cuddly.
Okay, so initially I was going to talk more about Feverfew because I know a little more about Feverfew than I do catnip, but when I started really looking into the catnip, and I grow both. Okay, so if you're looking at the screen, the picture on the left hand side is the catnip, and these are both from my garden, both these pictures. And so you see it's also known as cat mint, and it is a mint, and it will grow like a mint. So consider, if you decide to grow it, consider where you're going to plant it. It can take over like mint does. Mine's still fairly young, so I didn't get tons and tons, but I did get enough to dehydrate for us, and I'm really, really glad. And then obviously the picture on the right is the Feverfew, and both of these are very effective for a pain remedy and an anti-inflammatory. Now, the thing I learned about cat mint or catnip, whatever you prefer to call it, today that I was really thrilled about and made so much sense is that it is also a mild sedative. Well, duh, we know what it does to cats, right? But so it can also help with depression and anxiety. And so we found, and this was just me being Little Miss experimental, cat mint, or also known as catnip, most commonly known as catnip. So, pardon me, Ma. Anyway, this last summer, or actually starting before that, when we got headaches or any kind of backache or whatever, and we needed a pain remedy, when the herbs are growing fresh, we'll just go pick a little sprig of the catnip, go pick a little sprig of the Feverfew, and then just chomp them right down. Again, the Feverfew is very bitter, and so it's not enjoyable to chew. However, being that it is a bitter, I'm going to end up probably talking about these side by side. Being that it's a bitter, some of you that know anything about bitter herbs are incredibly helpful to the digestive system. So it's going to help you digest your food. It's going to help with any other digestive issues you may have. One time I tried it I had a stomach ache, and I tried taking the Feverfew, and within, it seemed like it was minutes, but it was a while back. It worked, and my stomach ache was gone. And stomach aches I used to get more than I got headaches, and I got both pretty frequently. And since I started going with herbal or natural remedies for both, I have far less headaches and far less stomach aches. In fact, I almost never have stomach aches, and headaches they're probably slightly more frequent, but that's more because of my back and my neck, but not by a whole lot. So anyway, yes, and if you have cats, you may want to consider either growing a lot of it, because they will tear it up from what I understand, or find a place to grow it where the cats won't get into it, though I don't know where that would be, because cats are kind of like rats. It seems like they can squeeze into just about anything. And I saw a video, maybe some of you have seen it, I saw a video on YouTube where a cat went under a closed inside door. Just went right under it. I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, they're just like rats. They just sort of flatten out and right under there.
So what's that got to do with
because it was interesting. And we're talking about catnips and cats, catnip and cats like catnip.
We're talking about everything under the sun in the chat over here.
So, yeah. Anyway, both of these herbs are very simple to grow. They're both perennial, so they'll just keep coming back. And I'm not sure about the catnip, but the feverfew will readily self-seed. And so once you start growing it, you're going to find that you're going to need to keep, weeding it out every so often. But what I did was I just let it grow, and then I take those, and I sold several starts of feverfew this last year. Same thing with the, I guess I should point that way, whatever, that way, there we go. The catnip or cat mint, I was able to make starts from that, but I don't know how well it self-seeds, but it doesn't matter because it's a mint. It'll keep coming back and coming back more voraciously every year. So exactly, Sherry Cherry. And you know what, that whole thing about when God told Moses to eat the bitter herbs during the Passover, I mean, some of that stuff is, had its spiritual significance, but it's funny, as you learn this stuff, you realize it's more than just spiritual. I mean, God knew what he was doing when he gave us all this stuff, and it's good for our bodies. So you think you're eating the bitter herbs while, with your food, it's going to help with that digestion. It's just, hello. So, yeah. I've heard feverfew helps with ringing in the ear. Yes, tinnitus. That would be tinnitus. And I just read about that too. So let me explain again. Of course, let me get that quick disclaimer. I'm not a doctor, so nothing I say is meant to replace medical counseling. I'm also not an herbalist. I'm not licensed in any way. Everything that I'm sharing with you is what I'm learning as I go. And so usually what happens with me is, especially if you're new to our show and you might not understand this, is I'm like, okay, I need to find an herb to grow in my garden that will help with this or that. And so, and Susan, there's absolutely nothing I can do about the buffering. It's just our internet. There's nothing I can do to help it. I'm very sorry. Some of you people that just can't get a good stream, it's probably best, I know you can join us in the chat, but if you want to actually see the show, it's best to come back the next day. One day it took 24 hours for me to get the whole thing on there, so it didn't post till 2 days later. But anyway, come back and watch it and you'll be able to see a more steady stream. It's still gonna, our picture's still gonna freeze, but it seems like the sound always seems to turn out pretty good. So, yeah, and Palmetto said something earlier about the perennials. Yes, if you can go perennial, go perennial. The only herb that I grow right now that is an annual that I can think of is basil, and I just wish so badly that it was a perennial. But because I really like basil and it has a lot of good. Okay, sorry, I'm reading a question here. He's probably reading a question too, because his job is to read the questions and then ask them to me, and then I read them anyway. Poor guy, I keep taking his job away from him. So how do you use feverfew for tinnitus? So pretty much, I don't have a lot of experience with using feverfew for anything more than pain and digestive issues. However, the two ways that we've always taken it is either raw, right off the plant, or as a tincture, a homemade tincture. And my tinctures, I tend to use mostly vinegar, sometimes a vinegar vodka mix. It just depends on what the herb is. I try to lean towards the vinegar as much as possible, but that also means that we'll take more of it. So we'll take a whole shot glass, which is 2 ounces, or approximately at like a quarter of a cup at a time. If your tincture is 80 proof and above alcohol based, then typically you're only going to need, depending obviously on the herb, you're only going to need somewhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon at a time. So it'll go farther, and and if you saw my recent video I put up about making a valerian deep sleep tincture, sorry, I just got a brain cramp and forgot what I was saying. An alcohol-based tincture is going to have a much longer shelf life. In fact, it's pretty much eternity. I would think a vinegar-based would last for a pretty long time, especially if you're using a distilled vinegar. But since I'm using homemade vinegar, yeah, vinegar is not going to get as much out. So, and that's very true. So really using a high proof alcohol is going to be the best way to make your tinctures, to get long shelf life and to get all of the benefits of the herb out. So I'm always experimenting and trying different things to see what works. Now I find that with the my favorite pain tincture right now is the Feverfew catnip in vinegar, and that's worked really good. Right now I have, well, this one's actually ready to be, this is the Feverfew catnip with all vinegar, homemade vinegar, and that one's ready to be filtered out. But I'd made a small amount to try it, and boy, that worked way better than just the Feverfew tincture alone. And this one was also made with vinegar, but it's worked really good for pain. Now, if excuse me, you know, again, I totally agree with what Tree said there about that. I highly suggest to sorry, I got distracted by what, I don't know what happened there, but go with the high proof alcohol. And the thing is, if you're concerned about consuming alcohol like me, I don't drink, so I stay away from alcohol as much as possible. However, when it comes to a tincture, you really only need a small amount, so it shouldn't have any effect on your you know, mental capabilities and your motor skills. So, and just to kind of touch on that, the reason I stay away from alcohol is I believe that we should always be of sober and sound mind. And even one glass of alcohol can impair your judgment. So it's not just about being able to drive and stuff. I just think part of being prepared for anything that happens, you know, we should always be of sober and sound mind. So it's just like with cannabis, though I completely believe and agree that it should be legal everywhere. We don't have the right to take away somebody else's right to use it. And obviously those of us, especially those in the chat, we know that it has an incredible amount of health benefits. And even on the CDC.com, CDC or FDA or .gov, I've been to both and I've looked this up. They actually do admit that cannabis cures cancer, but they won't approve it for a cancer remedy, which is so irritating. So at any rate, I wouldn't personally use it as a recreational thing, because I want to always be of sober, sound mind, so I can be ready for whatever happens. You know, if I have a family member or someone in need that needs me to run and go get something for them or go pick them up or go help them, I don't want to be able to go, oh, sorry, I can't come help you because I just had a glass of wine or whatever. You know, so if you understand what I'm saying, and no judgment on anyone who drinks, absolutely not. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm just sharing with you me.
There was a question asked about, Teresa Dean asked if there was a skill set on making vinegar.
Okay, and I've been getting a lot of questions. Now, I do have a video out. If you haven't seen it yet, it's one of my very first videos about how to make your own homemade vinegar. And I've made vinegar out of herbs, flowers, orange, citrus peels, all kinds of fruits, from pineapple to strawberry to raisins. I haven't tried banana because I heard it was pretty gross. And it's really simple, but different people will try different things. So I don't worry too much about keeping all my stuff weighted down underneath, because anything that stays below the surface is going to, you know, you're not going to, if it gets a little bit of mold on top, you just lift it out. Now if you're concerned about that, you want to put a weight in there to hold all your stuff down, and you just put your like, let's say you're making an apple pie, you just peeled a bunch of apples and throw all those cores and peels into a half-gallon jar. Top it off with a good filtered water, not tap water, because you don't want chlorine or fluoride in it, because it will affect the outcome, and plus it's bad for you. And you don't need to add sugar. Some people add sugar. You really do not need to add sugar. But you can, but you gotta understand, if you add sugar, it's going to make it take a little bit longer, because it has to eat through that sugar. So after 30 days, you might, I've had people say, well, mine still smells like wine. Well, then you probably need to leave it longer, because my last raisin one, same thing. In fact, I strained it out and then put it back in there, because it's still very bubbly, and it's still trying to turn to vinegar. So just give it more time, cover it back up, and once it's done, you can just put it in a swing top bottle or a jar or whatever. So okay, is there anything important that I'm missing here about any questions that you might have seen that? Looks like there's a lot of stuff going on.
I probably missed some questions, but no, there was somebody mentioning something about not curing cancer, but I was just saying that there's too much money to be made in cancer to cure it, you know.
So does somebody say that that cannabis doesn't cure cancer?
No, they
Okay. Like I said, it even says on the .gov web pages that it does, because they have to say that. They're just not going to put it out there for you all to know. You just have to know. I've done a lot of research by going through two .gov pages.
Bob Homesteader had said earlier they don't want to cure cancer. And
they don't.
That's exactly true.
They don't.
You know, there's too much money to be made in pharmaceuticals to actually come up with a cure for some of this stuff.
And that in fact, I learned more about what's really in vaccines, not from conspiracy theory sites, but by going to the .gov web pages and looking up the inserts and the information about them. And I'm just like, how can people read this stuff? Oh, I know why. Because nobody's given this information. You're not given that. In fact, most doctors and nurses really don't even know. I shouldn't say most. I shouldn't speak for them all. There's some that do look into that stuff. But a lot of them don't even know what is actually in this. And tests are very rarely, if ever, done on drug interactions. So, and what's funny is there's a commercial that pops up on, and some of you have probably seen it. I've just seen it recently, and it's for arthritis. And one day I let it play all the way through, and doggone it, it said one of the symptoms was cancer. And I'm just thinking, hello people. And coming back to this, what we're talking about, both the catmint and the feverfew are very good for arthritis. And so are many, many other herbs. So I didn't really get into as much detail about these. I might carry this over into next week's show.
In Tennessee, I'll get a word in edgewise here.
Sorry.
Yes, you use the leaves in the catnip as well. Yeah.
You can use all aerial parts on both plants.
Yeah.
Obviously, when the stem part starts getting really woody and stuff, you may not want to use that. But mostly the tender stems, the leaves, and the flowers. It's all good. So I love that when the whole plant is good. It's kind of like pansies. Pansies is another really good one. The flowers aren't just pretty in salads. They have a lot of medicinal benefits, and all aerial parts of the plant are edible. And they kind of have a mild wintergreen flavor to them. So I love pansies. So I'll get onto that one at some point. So not only are they beautiful in your garden and draw in beneficial insects and stuff, they just have a lot of great stuff. So anything drug related that has a side effect of death is a bad thing and should be removed from the shelves. Just me thinking, right, freaky geek. You know,
Not so
sorry.
freaky.
You know, cannabis it's still illegal in places, but why do they let stuff that can kill you and give you cancer be legal? I was like, man, you just, I'm sorry.
Money to be made.
And yes, there's a small chance of side effects with any of your herbs, but guess what? Most of them are related to if you're taking it with pharmaceuticals. Hello? So we're kind of back to that again. See, I just find myself not afraid of taking this stuff. And I don't, you know, I experiment on myself. I use myself as a guinea pig, and then he's my second guinea pig. If it works for me, then I'll use him next. See?
I'm perfectly
Then I'll
fine.
use him next. I'm like, okay, I didn't die, so here, now you try it. So, yeah.
I think she tries it on me first. Here, take this pill.
I don't. I don't. I really try it on me first.
And then she goes in the other room and kind of peeks around the corner through the door jam at me. And she goes, oh, okay, he's still alive.
Oh, it just reminded me there was something else. Okay, Feverfew. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Feverfew is also used for a lot of people. I've never had migraines. I've just had a lot of headaches, but I've never had migraines. But people use it for migraines. But here's the thing to know. If you have migraines and you tried Feverfew and it didn't work, it could be because you tried to take it after the migraine already set in. Apparently, it's more, when it comes to migraines, Feverfew is better as a preventative than it is as a cure for a migraine. Now, for just a regular headache or other pains, once the pain starts, you can take it and it works. And I know from experience that it works for me, as does the catnip. There was one more thing I wanted to touch on before we move on to our next topic, and that was, I can't remember which one. And remember I said they both have anti-inflammatory properties as well. And then the catnip also as a sedative. Let's see. I'm sorry. I wanted to find this. Okay, calming effect. This is catnip. Relieves stress, obviously, because it's sedative. There was something else, and I'm really sorry. I don't remember. Oh, I know what it was. Both of these, the Feverfew in particular, is good for keeping rabbits out of your garden. Rabbits hate Feverfew. So I grow my Feverfew, my catnip, and all these kind of herbs. They're just spread out all through my garden. And a natural diuretic. Oh, I know that one, Bandana Grandma. It's not clicking because at this point I don't need it. So usually if it's something I need, I'll be more quick at remembering it. Now here, Hawaii Volcano Squad threw one in there. I'd never heard of that. Furosemide. Never heard of that one. I'll have to look that up. But there is another one. I think it's something I grow that works as a diuretic. And I cannot remember which one it is. It might be nasturtium, but I do not remember. So I can't say for sure. And then catnip, other than drawing cats to your garden, it is also, but it is good at keeping certain other pests out, insect pests. It makes a good, you can make what do you call it to keep pests away? You can put it on your skin or whatever, that kind of thing, whatever.
Poultice?
No. Like they have a store-bought stuff. Yeah, a repellent. Thank you, Patrick, for helping my brain. Giving me a little.
See, I can add to the chat, too.
Yeah, he can. He can.
Hey, while I got you quiet, do you think OTC Feverfew supplements would work?
Yes. Personally, I've got to the point that if I don't already grow the herb, yeah. So now the comments are coming in. Yeah.
Repellent.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just now seeing your comments. Let's see. What was that again? Good
Repellent?
grief. No, before that, there was a question.
Oh.
Darn it. I'm sorry. I was trying to answer somebody's question and I got
Do you think over-the-counter Feverfew supplements would work?
Okay. I believe so.
SG.
Here's my issue, is that
She's got issues, by the way.
I have issues. And if I don't already grow it myself, then instead of buying a pre-made supplement, I don't trust them. I just don't. I know there's good ones out there, but it would take me more time to try to figure out which ones are the best and so all this research, when I would rather just buy the organic herb from a place I trust. You know, like from Amazon, I get either the Star West or the Frontier brand, organic, or Mountain Rose herbs.
Or better yet, if you can grow it yourself, fresh is better, and you know what you got.
Yeah, and that's why I say if I don't already grow it, and then if I try it, if I buy the herb and then try it by using it in teas and making tinctures, and it works, and then I look into it, like that was last week I was talking about seed that I ordered. Well, I ordered valerian root, but I also ordered ashwagandha seeds. And I'm like, we'll see if this grows in my area. Because ashwagandha is a really good adaptogen. Which adaptogens, some of you may know, helps your body to adjust to stress and be able to handle it. So, and yeah, any adaptogen, borage is another good adaptogen. And I think that was the other thing about either Feverfew or Catnip, is they also, I think it's the Catnip that helps with, well, yeah, Catnip that works as an adaptogen. I don't know if it's considered an adaptogen though. I didn't quite get to that part. Okay, so what am I missing now?
Oh, BC Truck. Here's his
Apple fritter, really?
Apple fritter colony.
Really?
Apple fritter.
Shame. No, I'm just kidding.
BC, come here.
Yeah, I actually made a blackberry pie today, but I'm out of blackberries that we pick. Blackberries are considered a noxious weed in our area, which I think is very cool because they're everywhere, and we can get, like, one year, how many gallons of blackberries did we pick that one year? It was like
5.
No, it was more than 5.
6.
Last year we didn't pick very much because we already still had tons.
Have lots of
I
blackberries.
think I picked like 20 gallons one year. It was a lot.
Let's go pick some more blackberries. Blackberries again?
And I'll tell you, they at the time when you're picking them, they're covered with spiders and thorns because the best tasting blackberries here are the Himalayans, and they are very spiky. And those are those times that I don't care about spiders and I don't care about thorns. I'm getting my blackberries. And so I'll end up all tore up, and I'm actually picking spiders out of my bucket and throwing them. And usually I won't touch a spider, but if they're on my blackberries, I will touch them, I will grab them, and I will throw them. So I'm weird that way.
Don't give them time to bite, just fuck them.
And I actually do have a little blackberry bush here that's starting to do really good, but we need to figure out where we want to put it. And it's a thornless. It was a gift. So we got to figure out what we want to do with it. We're thinking about putting a chain link fence in the front yard and then having it grow along there. And I think that would be cool because it would make kind of a natural fence along the chain. It would grow on the chain link, and yeah, and then it's there, thornless blackberries, and these ones get like this big.
They're bigger. They're
a nice size.
Gigantic.
So, and I noticed they had a lot better flavor this year, and I think they'll have even better flavor once we get them in the ground. Though I'm sure they're already, part of the reason they probably already have better flavor is that they've already grown through the pot. They're in a pot. So, dandelion is another herb I want to talk about eventually too. It's, you know, and I don't have to tell you, hey people, you should plant dandelion. Yeah, just let it grow and use it. I let it grow in my garden. It feeds my garden, and
actually, the secret: the more you try to kill it, the better it grows.
Yeah, and I get the best dandelion in the garden, and it also helps the other plants around it by feeding nutrients to it. So anyway, we only have 20 minutes left, and we did talk for the first 10 minutes about the homesteading thing. So let's get back on the topic of what is a homesteader. Now I want to start by saying, when I chose the name for our channel, I actually had it for a little while before I started making videos, because that was like, okay, let me get this set up and maybe eventually I'll get around to making videos. Well, I chose it rather reluctantly because I know some people's views on homesteading is like we thought, having lots of property and being completely off grid and having all the livestock there is to have, and we're not there yet. In fact, we have no livestock. We don't even have our chickens yet, and we only have a third of an acre. So, do we count? Well, there's just a few reasons why I chose that, and one is the fact that we are working towards having a homestead, and it may be that we move on to some more property and eventually get livestock, get more than just chickens, but have livestock, and actually have a true homestead as far as what people consider a true homestead. And I don't want to change my name down the road. That was one reason why I went with Rain Country Homestead.
What did you have the definition of a homestead?
Homesteading. What was I actually looked up the definition, and when you look up the definition, it is pretty all encompassing. It's not that definition of necessarily having lots of property or having lots of livestock. Those don't fall in there.
My definition of a homestead is if you don't have a covered wagon and you don't have at least four oxen. I was going to say 6, but if you don't have 4 oxen and a covered wagon, you're pretty much
awesome. Palmetto. Look what Palmetto Paratrooper
What do you
said.
say?
A homestead is just the home of someone that isn't naive. Okay, so I looked up the definition. I remember this now. And basically, what sums up being a homesteader is being able to be as self-sufficient as you are able. That was basically it right there. It didn't, and it said it may or may not include having livestock. Mm-hmm. And I thought I'm like, okay, there we go.
But livestock is just another step forward to getting independent or
exactly
doing for yourself, and so that self, supplying food for yourself. So.
Freaky. Patrick, you are a riot.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
So, and I'm not okay. Let me read some of these comments because I said I wanted feedback. I think a homesteader is anyone trying to do things the old ways, like our grandparents. I don't think it matters with or without electricity. Yes, old ways, new times. Donna, yes.
Well, what we try to do here is incorporate new technology with old technology. We have it. We used it. People back in the day had old technology or new technology of the times from whatever they can afford, and they used it. So I don't see any reason why we can't incorporate technology in with the homesteading, but like say for solar, for instance, or well pumps or different things like that can help augment your lifestyle. I don't see anything wrong with that. Can you deal without it? That's probably I think skill sets are probably one of the most important things to define a homesteader, is being able to do without that technology in order to survive.
I'm seeing some really good comments by Bandana Grandma of Teresa Dean. Lots of good comments in here, people. And I agree. One of the other things I wanted to say is the other reason, there was a third reason why I chose the name I chose for us, to put out there for others to see. And it is because we are on a 3rd acre. And I know so many people that are living in even smaller places, and they're like, I want to get there. Mm-hmm. And some people, it can be easy to say, well, go move here, or go buy land, or go wherever. But you know what? It's not that easy for some people.
You can't just drop and run.
You can't, we all have different situations in our lives. Like right here, we've been looking at several different pieces of property, but there's for each one, there's reasons we're holding back. And then there's other reasons we're just holding back in general. And some people can't afford to run off. We all have various reasons why those people in these positions that can't just go buy that property and get all the livestock, why they can't do it. Some of it could be health reasons. And so I want to be one of those people that is trying to set an example of how you can get started right where you're at. It can be done. I didn't realize how much we could do in our little area. And trying to be more off-grid, more self-sufficient, learning new skills, bartering for the things that, like, you know, we don't have cows and goats. We don't even have, like I said, we don't even have our chickens yet, though we're getting there, closer all the time. So we barter for these things from other people that are doing those things, that but maybe don't have sewing skills, or don't have wood lathe skills, or crochet skills, or whatever it is. Or even with my herbs, I've traded herb starts for farm fresh eggs. And so I believe that is a huge part of it, because see, what we're doing is we're supporting each other, we're helping each other out on this road. And I just think that's a huge part of it. And so again, part of it was trying to, because we're small, when I started looking for homesteading channels, the ones that at the time really appealed to me the most were those ones that were making the most out of their little small areas and seeing what they could accomplish. And it gave me hope that I could, even if we never found that piece of property that we're looking for, and it never worked out for us, that we could make it work right where we're at. So it's about being, to me, true homesteading is self-sufficiency out of necessity. Very
All
good.
Right on.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, right on, Hilltown.
So, okay, Susan says your home in 1 acre can be a homestead through the tax office of your local tax office. Okay, that's interesting. So, Susan, and I saw a couple of the comments going by on that topic. So then does that mean that you can get, if you have at least an acre, that you can get a tax exemption of some sort? Is that what you're saying? Because I think I saw somebody mention that. That would really be good to know more about, especially if we do finally find that perfect piece where we want it to be, and we know we're in a position that, okay, we are going to stay here, let's get this piece. And yes, Bandana Grandma, me too. And every time I feel like I can't do it, I go back to the Dervais family. And they're only on 1/10 of an acre.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
and they make their own fuel and everything else. It's amazing.
I'm getting a sore throat from talking too much.
Well, it's the skills, you know, that you stop to think of all of the knowledge surrounded by just that. I think what they got, a core regular Dervaises or whatever their names Dervais are. They have
a 1/10 of an acre.
1/10 of an acre.
Less than what we have.
And for crying out loud, what a set of knowledge, skill sets that they have in order to achieve that. You know, they make their own diesel. They got it everything. They got everything.
Yeah, they really do. So I keep going back to. Oh, okay. Unspoken prayers needed for Dirt Patch Heaven and Girls Please. Wow. Okay, and they were just on. So, yeah. Thank you, there was something else about them. So, I was going to say, now Simply Circus, they're trying to work their way there on less than what we have as well. But they have more than what the Dervais family has as far as space. I mean, they might have more square footage in their home, but they have less land overall. So, and they get 600 pounds of food off of a year or something like that. They live off of what they do there, and they sell their excess, and yeah, I mean, it's very cool. So, okay. Yeah, if you're having buffering issues, it's probably not your internet. It's ours. So again, I know like it's really fun being a part of the chat, and I really wish that our feed and our chat could coincide and be as fluid. But remember, you can always come back tomorrow or whenever this video goes live and watch it a little more smoothly. You're still going to have freezes and all that kind of stuff. And I really should figure out how to get in here and see if I can play with things. But it seems like I have it at the lowest setting for it to, you know, get the most smooth. I don't know. I still don't know that much about it. Somebody said Google Hangouts works better for those people who have kind of a not so great internet like us. But I just have not jumped into trying it yet because I've got everything set up on OBS and all my pictures and stuff, and I haven't had time to try to start all over again. I just got back from permaculture homesteads. Awesome. He lives in a subdivision, but he produces more food in 2,000 square feet than I do in 1.7 acres. Now, Palmetto, is he's got a great place from what I've seen. Is his, what would you say his acreage is? Like a quarter of an acre or less? I'm really curious.
Growing season.
And hello, Grizz, by the way.
Growing season makes a huge difference on how many pounds of food you can grow per square foot too. So that's something to take in consideration.
And Grizz, we talked about catnip, by the way. I shouldn't bring that up because he's got to behave himself because I really want him to stay in our chat. I like Grizz. But Grizz, if you're naughty, you're going to get booted. So be nice. Okay. The hangout is good, but the chat sucks. Okay. It's not that. Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, he only grows in the backyard, and it's just over 2,000 square feet. What is that? So an
acres, 4360.
So to me, it doesn't look like his backyard is really much bigger than ours. We actually have, with all our structures, we didn't have so many structures on here, we'd have lots more growing space. But we've got Pat's 1,200 square foot shop, and then we've got a 1,200 square foot dance martial arts room, you know, business area, and then we have a 1,200 square foot house part. And then we have our greenhouse, and we have our, well, of course that's garden, so that counts. We have the playhouse, but then the chicken coop will go under the playhouse.
Chicken coop.
Oh,
it's coming, folks.
Yeah,
one of these days.
Go back to my earlier videos. Go to my playlist, Homestead Happenings, and now I show all. Well, I don't even show all the garden areas. I never got to the front areas that I've been working on, and I show our greenhouse. He shows the progress on the chicken coop and what we're doing. It's going under the kids' old playhouse because the playhouse is lifted up, and you'll be able to see what we're doing on our little area. So
it's a cliffhanger, folks. This might go on for 10 years, but we'll get it done.
I'm never gonna have chicken.
The plan is to have it done. Work on that in the spring to where we get some chickens. I want to have a good house for them chickens before we start bringing them home.
Though we didn't see any raccoons this year, but
no.
But
they
there's other animals that we have to worry about. So either way, you know, we want to make sure they're good and secure before we bring chickens home.
43,560. Is that what I said about earlier?
I think so. That sounds about right to me.
What an acre is.
Before I forget, I want to say this now. So after us is Big Family Homestead with their Tech Talk, and then after them is Full Spectrum Survival. So don't forget to check those out. Go to the homesteadnetwork.com for more show times if you're liking what you see. And even if you don't like our show, if it doesn't suit your style, then I'm sure with all the different families out there and their different styles of things that they do, like, you know, Go for Green Living has a lot of good information on solar and aquaponics. Everybody has their talents and their focuses. Deep South Homestead, I kind of think they sort of do it all. to some degree. and they're, yeah,
Pretty
there's
self-sufficient.
so many good ones. I don't want to start naming a bunch off and leave out. And JS Farms, I've really been enjoying, even though I'll probably never have, I have absolutely no interest in having pigs, and I probably will never have cows, and I'm not sure about goats, but I still enjoy listening to people talk about these things because I learn so much from just listening. So all these people, just really good stuff. So don't forget to check those check out the homesteadnetwork.com and look at those different shows.
Teresa Dean asked about moisture and chickens. Obviously, this time of year, you kind of want everything sloped away from the chicken coop, and also have a warm place for them to go,
Yeah.
to roost or to brood. And so that's what I'm working on. You just can't, around here you just can't throw them out in the put 4 steel posts in the ground and put chicken wire around
But
it. You gotta
a lot of people around here have chickens in town.
yeah.
A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think there's a limit. I think you can have roosters. A lot of people just choose not to have them because you want to be polite to your neighbors. Me, I wouldn't care if people around me had roosters because I typically get up around 4:30. It's just what time I wake up and I'm ready to go. So, anyway, I guess looking at the time, we should probably stop. I always try to stop a couple minutes early because there's that carryover time. So, again, don't forget to go over to Brad and Krista's at Big Family Homestead and check out their Tech Talk and Full Spectrum Survival after that. So, and maybe we can come back to this topic again next week. I wouldn't mind some more about the homesteading thing and people's different views, because I feel like I missed so much of what you people said. And I'm going to try to read back through there if I can remember. Thank you to my moderators and to all you people for coming in here.
BC Truck and Wheat Tree Bonsai.
Palmetto Paratrooper.
Palmetto.
And Palmetto Paratrooper didn't boot or put anyone on time.
Hey, thanks for not booting me, Palmetto. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and don't forget to pray for Dirt Patch, all right? So thanks for watching, you guys, and being here with us, and have a great evening.